Have you ever noticed something strange about your life? You know what you should do. You understand your problems. You've watched the videos. You've read the advice. And yet, nothing really changes. You delay. You stay up late. You scroll. You compare yourself to others. And you keep telling yourself, "I'll start when I feel ready." This is the paradox. You're not lazy, you're not stupid, and you're definitely not incapable, but somehow you keep standing in your own way. This is what psychologists call self-sabotage. Not loud, not dramatic, but quiet, repetitive, and familiar. It doesn't look like destruction. It looks like waiting. It looks like one more night. It looks like just 5 more minutes on your phone. And the most dangerous part? Most people don't even realize they're doing it. They think they're being patient. They think they're being realistic. They think they're protecting themselves. But what they're really doing is slowly postponing their own life. If you've ever felt stuck while knowing better, tired without being productive, or frustrated with yourself for not starting yet, this video is for you. Because in 2026, real change won't come from motivation. It won't come from big goals or dramatic decisions. It will come from recognizing the small habits that quietly destroy your progress and learning how to stop fighting yourself. In this video, we'll break down 5 common self-sabotaging habits that keep people trapped for years, and more importantly, how to finally move past them. Habit 1. I'll do it later. The most common way people betray themselves. Let's talk about a habit that almost everyone has, but rarely admits. You wake up knowing there's one thing you should do today. Just one. Send the email, start the workout, work on that idea you keep thinking about. And you tell yourself, "I'm not avoiding it. I'll just do it later. Later today, tomorrow, next week." It sounds harmless. It feels reasonable. But here's what actually happens. Later turns into never. And "I'll do it" slowly becomes "I didn't." Not because you're lazy, but because every time you delay something you clearly can do, you make it harder to trust yourself the next time. You start feeling this quiet tension inside, a low-level guilt that never really goes away. You scroll your phone, you check messages, you keep yourself busy. But in the back of your mind, you know exactly what you're avoiding. That's the exhausting part. It's not the task, it's carrying it around all day in your head. And over time, this habit does something dangerous. It teaches you that your intentions don't matter, that promises to yourself are optional. So when people say, "I don't know why I can't stay consistent," this is often the reason. Here's a more realistic way to change it. Don't try to become disciplined overnight. Don't wait for motivation. Just catch the moment when you say, "I'll do it later," and instead do one small version of the task. One sentence, 1 minute, one tiny step. Not to finish, just to show yourself, "I keep my word, even in small ways." Because real change doesn't start with big actions. It starts the moment you stop lying to yourself about later. Habit number 2. Staying up late to escape tomorrow. This habit doesn't look like self-destruction. It looks like me time. You tell yourself, "I just want a little quiet. One more episode. Just a few more minutes on my phone." And before you know it, it's 1 a.m., then 2. You're not even enjoying it anymore. You're just delaying sleep. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people who stay up late don't do it because they're productive. They do it because they don't want tomorrow to start. Sleep feels like pressing fast forward to a day you're not excited about. So you stay awake to hold on to a sense of control. At night, no one expects anything from you. No emails, no pressure, no responsibilities. It feels safe, but the price you pay is heavy. You wake up tired, your focus is gone, your patience is thinner, and the day feels harder than it needs to be. So what do you do the next night? You stay up late again. This is how the cycle traps you. You think you're giving yourself relief, but you're actually borrowing energy from tomorrow with high interest. And over time, this habit sends a quiet message to your brain. I don't care enough about my future self. That's not freedom. That's slow burnout. So let's talk about a more honest fix. Not a perfect bedtime routine, not forcing yourself to sleep early, just this. Choose a cutoff moment, a time when you stop scrolling, dim the lights, and let the day end, even if it wasn't perfect. Because sleep isn't giving up on today, it's preparing yourself to face tomorrow better. And when you start respecting your sleep, you're not just changing a habit, you're choosing not to run away from your life anymore. Habit number 3. Constant comparison. The fastest way to drain your energy. This habit usually starts quietly. You open your phone, you scroll for a few seconds, and suddenly your mood shifts. Someone is doing better than you, making more money, living a life that looks more put together. You tell yourself, I'm just checking, I'm just curious. But comparison doesn't stay neutral. It immediately turns personal. You start questioning your progress, your choices, your pace. And without realizing it, you're measuring your entire life against a highlight reel of someone else's highlights. That's the trap. You're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's best moments. And it slowly messes with your mind. You feel behind even when you're not. You feel inadequate even when you're improving. And the worst part? Comparison doesn't inspire action, it usually kills it. Because when you constantly look sideways, you lose focus on your own lane. Your energy goes into judging, not building, doubting, not doing. So instead of taking a step forward, you freeze. Here's the shift that actually helps. Stop asking, am I better than them? And start asking, am I better than yesterday? Not in big dramatic ways, just small, honest ones. Did you show up when you didn't feel like it? Did you rest when you needed to? Did you move one step closer to your own goals? Because the moment you stop competing with strangers, you get your energy back. And with that energy, you finally have space to grow. Habit number 4. Using your phone to numb yourself when you're tired. Most people don't use their phones because they're bored. They use them because they're tired. Not physically tired, emotionally tired. So instead of resting, you scroll. You tell yourself, I just need a break. I'll stop in a few minutes. But minutes turn into an hour. And when you finally put the phone down, you feel even more drained than before. That's because your phone isn't giving you rest, it's giving you distraction. And distraction doesn't restore energy, it only delays the crash. When you're exhausted, your brain needs quiet, but scrolling feeds it noise, endless images, endless information, endless comparison. So your body stays tense even while you're lying down. Over time, this habit teaches your nervous system that exhaustion equals stimulation, and that's dangerous. Because instead of listening to your body, you drown it out. You stop recognizing when you need real rest, real silence, real recovery. Here's a more honest alternative. The moment you feel the urge to scroll because you're tired, pause, put the phone face down, and give yourself 5 minutes of doing nothing. No content, no music, no input. Just breathe, stretch, or sit in silence. It will feel uncomfortable at first. That's normal. But that discomfort is your body finally being heard. And when you stop numbing yourself, you start recovering. Habit number 5, waiting for motivation before you start. This habit sounds harmless, even reasonable. You tell yourself, I'll start when I feel motivated, when I'm in the right mood, when I'm more confident. But here's the truth most people learn too late. Motivation doesn't come before action. It comes after. Waiting for motivation is like sitting in a parked car and expecting it to move once you feel like driving. Nothing happens. So days pass, then weeks, then another year. And you start telling yourself a new story. Maybe this just isn't for me. But that's not honesty. That's self-protection. Because starting without motivation feels risky. You might fail. You might look stupid. You might realize it's harder than you thought. So instead, you wait. And waiting feels safer than trying. The problem is, this habit slowly rewires your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who acts and start seeing yourself as someone who prepares forever. Here's the shift that actually works. Stop asking, "Do I feel like doing this?" and start asking, "What would a person who takes responsibility do next?" Not the whole plan, not the perfect version, just the next small step. Motivation will follow movement. Confidence will follow repetition. And when you stop waiting for the perfect feeling, you finally give yourself a chance to change. Closing and call to action. Changing yourself in 2026 starts with one honest choice. If you look closely, none of the habits we talked about today are dramatic. They're small, quiet, easy to justify. Putting things off when you know better. Staying up late to avoid tomorrow. Comparing yourself to people you don't even know. Scrolling when your body is asking for rest. Waiting for motivation that never comes. Individually, they don't seem dangerous, but together, they slowly pull you away from the life you want. The good news is this: you don't need to fix everything. You don't need a new personality, and you don't need to become someone else. You just need to stop working against yourself. So don't try to change all 5 habits at once. Choose one. Just one habit that you recognize in yourself, and treat it differently this week. Notice it, interrupt it, replace it with a small, honest action. That's how real change starts. Not with pressure, not with motivation, but with awareness and consistency. If this video helped you see yourself more clearly, and you want to continue this kind of slow, honest self-improvement, subscribe to the channel. We'll keep exploring the habits, mindsets, and psychological patterns that quietly shape your life, and how to change them without burning yourself out. 2026 doesn't need a new version of you. It needs a version of you that finally stops getting in their own way.